Hi, welcome to the Mind the Risk video blog. Today I want to do a short one that takes us back more than 100 years back in the history of safety, where we will look at a case that tells us something about both the view of humans as the cause of accidents and also about causes as constructs. Last time we went back to the late 1920s when Herbert William Heinrich for the first time published his idea about man failures versus machine failures versus other things, and he came with this 88-10-2 ratio. And we looked at that and we discussed it critically. Heinrich wasn't the first one to hold on to this view. And one could say he just put numbers to it and added some, well, call it research to it. If you go back in old safety literature, and there's quite a lot of it to be found online for free, I'll add one link in the comments fields. You can see that it goes way back to the beginning of the 20th century at least, and probably earlier. What I show here is a picture from the magazine Safety Engineering, December 1915, and there it shows us that personal caution should be the bullseye of safety efforts. That means, in other words, that the man as the cause of accidents, man as the cause of problems for safety, should be your main point of attack. The interesting thing is, the month before, November 1915, in the same magazine there had been an article by some guy named Mowry, and he argued against this. He referred to a meeting of the National Safety Council, where had been stated that over 80% of all accidents were due to problems with man failure. Carelessness, he calls it. But he says it is difficult to believe that it should be so. And then he goes on discussing how he thinks that much of safety efforts are misplaced because of this way safety engineers of the time define causes and choose causes. They choose carelessness as the point of attack. And then he shows an example why he thinks it shouldn't be so. Here's a picture. The case Mowry discusses is from Pennsylvania Railroad Station in Philadelphia in 1915. And the picture you saw is one from 1910. And he discusses the staircases, and I'm not sure if these are the staircases pictured on the photograph. But I imagine they will be have been like that. And the case was there were many accidents on staircases on that station. People fell down, and they had often quite serious injuries. And many of the contemporary safety engineers said this was due to carelessness. People were in a haste, people didn't pay attention, they tripped, they fell, and often they hit their head because they fell over, tipped over. Mowry had a different explanation. Mowry looked at the staircases, at the steps, and he found out the steps were of a special kind of safety steps. So they were especially designed to be safe, but he found out the steps had a smooth edge, which was slippery, I guess, especially if it's wet, and also there were parallel grooves to these edges, which caused the heel of the screw to hang on. So they slipped, they hang on, and people tripped. And Mowry said the direct cause of these accidents, and don't let us caught up in the direct or underlying, but he said the direct cause is not carelessness. It's the design and the construction of these steps that cause people to trip and fall and injure themselves. And then to prove, if he can call it this, they changed the steps. They replaced them with abrasive steps and steps that weren't slippery, without these grooves, and the number of accidents went to 0 in the period he describes. So he says it's not carelessness that is the problem, it's not the haste that is the problem, because those factors were still there. People were in a hurry to get the train, but they didn't trip and fall anymore. So what can we learn from this? This is an ancient case. It's over a century old. And, well, is there anything to learn from for us? And I would say yes. The first thing is about construction of causes, and that it's what people choose to pay attention to. Because many of Mowry's contemporaries, they said it's the haste and the carelessness that causes these accidents to happen. Well, Mowry, he said, well, haste and carelessness is there, and let's be honest, on a train station you will have people that hurry to catch a train. Been there, done that. So you can't just focus on that and say, well, pay attention, don't hurry. People will do so because they have other objectives in mind as well. So what they did was change then the situation that people were in. He changed different causes, different factors in the environment, and it affected safety positively because he chose something else than the obvious factor that many of his contemporaries chose. The second thing we can learn from this case is that we shouldn't judge too fast about people being careless or unsafe, having unsafe behavior, etc. Because as we see, the unsafe behavior, or let's just say the behavior we want to deal with, it's still there, but you can actually make the situation in a way that this behavior isn't the problem. So is 80% of all accidents caused by humans? As we saw last time, most accidents involve humans. We know that, and we should be very cautious to trying to pinpoint everything on just one thing. And even Heinrich knew this and writes about this, because he says in his 1941 book and also other places that often engineering solutions or process revision that provide a remedy, even if he thought that man failure was the main cause. So he wasn't actually a real advocate only of going for behavior. He had a much, much more nuanced view. And I think it's great that we see that even many years back people thought the things. And I think we can learn a lot of that and take it to today and create more safety.